In this video series, I'm going to show you how you can get going with Windows 10. I'm going to show you some things that will help you get going faster, how to customize your Windows 10 interface, how to set your settings for the ultimate privacy so that you're not being spied on by Windows, and it does spy on you uh, not for any nefarious reason, but just so it can get to know you, especially if you have Cortana turned on. There are also a lot of great features that came with Windows 10 that you didn't have before, and I'm going to take you through all of these. But the first thing I want to start with is how to install Windows 10 if you don't have it installed yet. If you already had Windows 8 or Windows 7, then you will get a free upgrade. The only thing is that you will be waiting in a queue, or you may be still waiting in a queue if you haven't gone and installed it yourself. Remember, there are hundreds of millions of people that are going to install Windows 10 because of Windows 8. Windows 8 was not well received, and a lot of people that ended up having to take Windows 8 are going to want to upgrade, and people that have stayed on Windows 7 are also going to want to upgrade to the latest. So a way you can get by that is to go to the Windows 10 download, and I'll give you a link to that. And once you're in here, all you have to do is go down to the tool. This is the media creation tool. So all you have to do is download the version for your machine, whether it's 32-bit or 64-bit. So just click on that and download it. And once it's downloaded, you can run it. It already knows that I'm on Windows 10, so it's not going to let me go any further. But what it does is it comes up with a screen that asks you if you want to create media for another computer or upgrade the one you're on. Usually you're going to be wanting to upgrade the one you're on, and then you just follow it through, and it'll take close to an hour or so. Now once you've done that, then you will have Windows 10 installed. So it's a relatively easy thing to do if you're still waiting in line and you want to get it installed. Now, during the install process, you will have been asked to set up a Microsoft account or to use a Microsoft account that you already have, even if you weren't using a Microsoft account before. And the reason it's doing this is because there's a lot of things that are integrated with the Microsoft account, including the store and integration with OneDrive and OneNote, which are great things to use. And I'm going to go over that a little later. Now you'll notice that after you sign in, let's go down on the taskbar here. Over here you have the notification area, which is new. And if you go in here, you can see any messages that you've gotten here. And oftentimes you'll see in here one that'll say that you need to verify your account. So if you see that, you can go in here and click on that and verify your account. You also see down here that we have all settings. So this is how you can get quickly into your settings. Okay, so let's go over the account verification process. Okay, so you'll see in here that it says you need to verify your identity on this PC. Okay, so this is just verifying that you own the Microsoft account that you are logged in with. Okay, so you can go ahead and use the different ways that you can get it here. So you can do it by phone or email. And if you already have a digits, then you can put the last four or the digits in here and then click next. Okay, since I had my code, I'll put it in there, click next. And of course, I'm getting an error. But normally you would be able to go through here, or you can use a different verification method. And then once it's verified, it will come back to here, and now you won't see the message down here. Okay, so now our account's verified. You also see that you can use local accounts like we had before on older systems, and you also had them on Windows 8 that you could use if you didn't want to use a Microsoft account. So you can use local accounts as well. Local accounts are just what it sounds like. It uses an account that is based on this PC instead of based on a Microsoft account. And it doesn't have any attachments to Microsoft services or accounts. Okay, now we're going to go into settings in the next video, but one more thing I want to show you here is the start menu. Now when you go to the start menu here, you get a standard start menu. Everybody basically looks the same when they first come in here. So what you can do is make this look the way you want, and you can extend the menu just by tapping on it or clicking on it and moving it around, and then you can change all this so that it suits your needs. So if you right click on something, you can unpin it, resize it, turn it off, or pin to the taskbar. So you can pin to the taskbar down here. And so just set this up the way you want it. I don't really have anything on here that isn't on the normal one. On the left side here, you have stuff that is most used. And then down here, you have your File Explorer. Here's your settings, your power, so you can turn your power off and restart the computer. All apps. And then when you click on that, all your apps are in here in alphabetical order. Okay, and then from these, if you want, you can go in here, right click on these, and then you can add them to your start menu, to your taskbar, uninstall, run as an administrator, and if you open file location, it'll bring up the program, and then if you right click on it, you can send it to, and then the desktop. So that's how you can put icons on your desktop. Same as the way you did it in Windows 8 if you had Windows 8. Okay, so that gives you the basics here. You've got it installed, and then you've got your account set up, and we've gone through and shown you how you can get your start menu set up. So in the next video, we're going to go over settings. Okay, in this video, we're going to go through some of the settings. Now, the first thing you may or may not have noticed is that I'm using Firefox. Now, with the new Windows 10, you get a new browser called Microsoft Edge. And this is your default browser. So let's just bring this up. Now, Microsoft Edge is actually a really nice browser. It's a huge upgrade from Internet Explorer. So you will enjoy it if you were using Internet Explorer. It has a lot more features, and I will go through all of the features later on in a different video. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how you can set default apps. So I'm going to open Firefox now. So Mozilla. And I'm going to pin this to my start menu here, or to the taskbar actually, so that I can find it more easily. So Mozilla Firefox, I'm going to right click on it and pin to the taskbar. Okay, so here it is down here. Let's click out here. Now I can open it up now. Okay, now it's asking me if I want it to be my default browser. Now it's a little different the way you set your default anything right now. So let's just say I want this is my default browser. And what it's going to do is bring up your settings for your defaults. Okay, so it's under System and Defaults as you see down here. And they're all in here. So you can come in here at any time and change them. But what I want to do is go to Web Browser. And even though I told it to use Firefox, it is still set up Microsoft Edge. So if you click on here, it will bring up your different choices over here, and I'll pick it. And I have now set my default. Okay, so that's the first thing I wanted to show you, so you could get your default browser set if you don't want to use Microsoft Edge. Now the next thing is settings. Now there's two ways to get into settings, and you've already seen over here on the right that we can get into it from here, and we can go to all settings. You can also get into it by going to the Start button and going to Settings here. It takes you to the same spot. Okay, and then you have your system, devices, network, personalization, accounts, time and language, ease of access, privacy, and update and security. Now, while we're talking about settings, I want to show you something else. If you go over to your Start menu and you right-click on it, then you get a lot of other commands that you've seen before. Okay, this is just a way to get to the direct commands in Windows and your control panel and so on without having to go through this way. Now, the control panel is something that is not within the rest of it. You're supposed to use the Windows settings that you're seeing on the menu in front of you. But if you want to go to the control panel, you can get to it from there, and you can adjust your computer settings from here. So that's how you can get to the control panel. And a few of these do point partially back to the control panel. Okay, so having said that, let's go into settings, and we have notifications and actions. And the first thing we come to is our displays, so you can change your multiple displays here. Notifications and actions. Okay, so you can change your notifications here. Show me tips about Windows. You might want to turn those off after a while if you know what you're doing. App notifications, notifications on the lock screen, show alarm reminders, and then show notifications while presenting. And you'll see down here, these are individual apps that are going to show us notifications, so you can turn any of these off at any time. Okay, so let's go back up here. I don't really want to show you anything else in there. A lot of them are pretty self-explanatory. But the next thing I want to show you is privacy. And this is where you're going to want to pay some attention. Now, there are several things that Microsoft is keeping track of that you can turn off if you want. So send Microsoft info about the way I write to help improve typing and writing in the future. We have let websites provide locally relevant content by accessing my location. So I'm going to turn this one off, but you can decide what you want to do there. Now, your location is simply that the apps can know your location, and maybe you do and maybe you don't want some apps to know. So if we look down here, you can choose apps that can use your location. So for instance, you may want, well, you probably would want any weather apps to know your location. Okay, and then and so on down here. So you can set whichever apps you want to use your location. Okay, then your camera. If you want to let apps use your camera, and then it'll show you down here which apps are using your camera. Okay, so if you don't want some apps using your camera, you can turn them off right here. Same with your microphone. Again, it'll show you which apps are allowed to use your microphone down here. Okay, speech, inking, and typing. You'll see here that Microsoft is getting to know you. So it's keeping track of things for Cortana, which we haven't gotten to yet. Now, if you're going to use Cortana, you're going to want to leave this on. Otherwise, you're going to want to turn it off. And I'm going to talk about Cortana right after this. Now, see down here, there's cloud info. So Bing can keep track of your information for all of your devices. So if you have a Windows Phone or something like that, then you can go in here and you can change your settings there. Okay, your account info. So let apps access my name, picture, and other account info. And then again, you can choose the apps that you're going to allow to do that down here. Your contacts. Okay, so these are the apps that are allowed to access your contacts. So you see that there is a lot of customization you can do to prevent apps from getting your information. Okay, and then your calendar. So you can let apps access your calendar, and then again it tells you which ones, and you can turn them on and off as you like. Messaging. Okay, so everybody can send text or MMS. Radios. So your apps controlling your radios, other devices, and then it does just what it says. It lets your apps automatically share and sync information from devices that aren't particularly paired to the particular device that you're on. Okay, and then next we have feedback. So this is the settings for the amount of feedback that is sent down to Microsoft. And then our background apps. This shows you the apps that are running in the background. And if you see some in here that you don't want running, you can just turn them off like that. Okay, so that's the some of the privacy settings. Now, let's go into network and internet and then roll down here and you want to manage Wi-Fi settings. And you get something in here called manage Wi-Fi sense. And what this is going to do, if you don't change it, is allow your contacts to be able to access your network. So you're likely going to want to turn off all of these here so that it won't share your connection with your contacts. Okay, so by setting all of those things, it will make you a little bit safer on the internet. Just watch what you share. Now you can set them the way you want, but the less you share, the less chance you have of having something bad happen to you. Now another thing I want to go over with is updates. So let's go into updates and security and Windows Update. Now what we want to do here is go to advanced options and you want to notify to schedule a restart. The reason we're going to do this is so that you can choose when the updates are going to be installed rather than get interrupted by having updates installed automatically. You cannot stop updates from happening in Windows 10 like you could in other versions of Windows. Okay, so I've already done this, but you can come in here and you can just click on here and you can have automatic or notify. And I always pick notify and it'll just tell you when it needs to install updates. And the next time you restart it, it will update or it'll do it at some time when it knows you're not using the computer. It'll tell you what that is. For me, it's 3:10 a.m. Okay, so that's a good thing to do there is to take control of your updates. Windows Defender is the built-in antivirus and anti-spyware protection. Now I have this enabled, but it's on another account on this computer, so I'm not able to actually do anything with it in this account, but these are all turned on, as you can see. They're just grayed out here. So this all looks after itself automatically. You can click here to use Windows Defender and it'll bring up the window. And it's telling us that it's being used. We can scan it manually. We can look at the updates here and the history. Okay, so again, you have built-in protection against viruses and spyware. Okay, and then you have backup. Now, backup allows you to back up your system in a different way. So you can back up files to another drive and restore them if the original are lost or damaged. So you can add a drive here. You can also go to more options here. And this is where you could restore files from a current backup. And then we have some advanced settings here. And this is going to take you to the control panel. And this is where you can turn file history on. This is a way that Windows can keep track of your file history and install file history from another drive. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, and then we have recovery. Now, you can reset the PC. What this will do is it will reset the computer to factory, and you can either keep the files that you have on here or remove them and reinstall everything. So be careful with that. You can go back to a previous version of Windows if you upgraded from another version, and I upgraded from 8.1 as you can see here. So I could go back to that if I wanted to, and you only see this for 30 days. Now I'm going to show you how to delete the old Windows system because it's still sitting on here taking up about 10 gig of space. I'm going to show you that in a little while. Then you have advanced startup. If you click on this, it restarts your system and brings up a startup menu where it'll let you either recover from a restore point, from a backup drive, from a backup partition, and some other thing. So that's another way you can recover if you have a problem. There are the settings we want to set for privacy and protection. Okay, so we're going to continue with some more settings in the next video. Now we're going to continue with our settings. Another thing I want to show you is the integration with OneDrive and OneNote. OneDrive is free disk space that you get from Microsoft, and it's great because, for instance, if you have a smartphone, you can install the OneDrive app on your smartphone, and you can sync the pictures with your smartphone and automatically appear in OneDrive and consequently on your computer. And there's a lot of other OneDrive integrations you can do with it. But first thing we want to do is set it up so that and tell it what we want to synchronize. So if we click over here, you'll see the OneDrive app right here. So if we click on that, and we can open the OneDrive folder. Okay, so right now it's just you doing our documents and pictures. Now, if we go back here and we right click on it, and then we go to settings, here we can decide what we want to synchronize. So start OneDrive automatically when I sign into Windows, so it'll run in the background, and usually that's what you're going to want to do. Then you'll see here there's an option to let you fetch any file from this computer from OneDrive. And if you turn this on, you'll be able to fetch things like videos and stream videos and so on from another device. Okay, and then we have autosave here. So this is for saving when you attach a camera or other device. It'll pull the pictures and media off that phone. And same here for screenshots when you capture a screenshot. Now here is where you choose the folders that you want to be able to sync. So I got sync all files and folders in my OneDrive. And you may have a more extensive list than this on your computer. On my other account, I have a much bigger list of things that I can synchronize. And down here it tells you how much space it's going to use and how much space you have on your disk. Then there's a performance option just to allow it to upload in batches. Okay, so it's nice to be able to do that, and then you can access OneDrive from any of your other devices and get your folders and files and media that way. Now the other thing I want to show you that is pretty neat, if we go in here, this is your notification center, and you'll see Note here. Now again, this is for the OneNote application. And again, you can install OneNote on your other devices, and then whenever you make a note on any device, you can access it from any other device. Okay, so automatically saved and so on. So let's start using OneNote. It's part of the Office suite, but this is a free part of it. Okay, and it needs a default notebook, so it'll come up with one here. Just click OK. And it's as simple as that. Now you can use the note application here. You can make notes in here. You can draw on it. You can insert pictures and so on in here. And that's it. So you just create your notes, and then you can get them from any device. I use this quite a lot between my different devices. Okay, now one thing that's really handy to have with any Windows system is God mode. Now this is not new to Windows 10, but many people may not know about it. Now God mode gives you a central place for all your settings. So here's how to get it. Right click on your desktop, go to New, and then Folder. Now I'm going to give you a string to paste in, but you paste that string in for the name and hit enter. You now have God mode. Now let's open up God mode. Okay, so now you have a huge menu of all the different things that you can access from here, settings and tasks and so on. So basically it gives you a one-stop shop of the different things you can do on your computer. Okay, as you see, it's very extensive. So that's one of the things with Windows 10. We have disjointed settings. I shouldn't say disjointed. We have two different ways of doing it, and sometimes they interact with each other. So if we go into all settings here, so we have this way of accessing settings, and then when you go into here, sometimes you have to go into another part of it to set something else. So if we go into themes, for instance, while I'm in here, I'm going to show you something else. But, and this will illustrate my point, desktop icon settings. You'll see I have the trash bin and this PC here. Now, if you don't have this PC on your computer, this is how you can put it on here. If you had my computer on one of your other computers, on your computer when you upgraded, you'll see this here. But if it wasn't and you want it on here, this is where you set it. So let's go to desktop icon settings. Okay, so this is actually bringing up something that you can access from the control panel. So this, you just check what you want to show on your desktop from here. Okay, so you just check and click OK. You can change the icons. So you see what I mean about things that are integrating back and forth between the new Windows settings and the control panel. So I won't say it's disjointed, but they work together, and there's two different ways to get at things. And that's why you might want to put God mode onto your desktop. Okay, now the next thing I want to talk about is Cortana and the search bar. You see the search bar down here? I don't like it like this. What I like to do is not have it take up so much room. So I just go over here and say search icon, show search icon, and then I get this. Okay, now when you click on this, you get, the first time in, you'll get some settings or some search things here, and you can start typing to search. But if you go here, this is your settings, and this is where you can turn Cortana on. Now Cortana isn't available everywhere. You have to have certain settings on your PC. Now where I am, this is grayed out, but I can turn it on if I want to, and I'm going to show you how to do that if you can't get at Cortana. So what we want to do is go to Control Panel, and then over here we want to go Clock, Language, and Region. And then we want to go to Region. Okay, so let's go over to Location, and I'm in Canada, so that's what of course what I chose. However, Cortana doesn't work when you have this set as Canada. So I'm going to set it to United States. Click OK. Then we're going to go to Languages. And you'll have some language packs in here already. So English Canada and English United States. Let's go to Cortana again, into the settings. And you'll see now I can turn it on. So if you can't get at Cortana and you want to use it, that's what you need to do. Make sure you have the US language pack installed and that you are on the US locale or one of the other ones that it supports if you don't want to use English. Okay, so of course if you want Cortana on, you just turn it on right here. Okay, so it's just going to give you an introduction here. Now, remember before I said about, remember we turned off a bunch of settings to get to know you and so on? With Cortana, you're going to need to turn these back on. Okay, so you pick a name. Okay, so it's starting up here. So now you can go ahead and you can pick the things that you like. It tells you what some of the things that it can do. And then you can start talking to it down here. Now, if we go in here now, we're in the notebook. And with the notebook, you can go in and you can do the different things that you want to do. So here we are back in the settings again. If we want to use Hey Cortana to start it, we can turn that on. And then anytime we want to start Cortana, we can do it that way. So it's going to go through and look at your microphone. Peter talks to his computer. He prefers it to typing and particularly prefers it. Okay, so it's set up. Hey Cortana. Oh, let's close that. Hey Cortana. Okay, so there it is. Hey Cortana. What is the temperature? Okay, so it didn't find it. Now, the reason, or one of the reasons anyway, is because of our privacy settings. Remember, we turned off location, we turned on get to know me, and we turned off a whole bunch of settings that we may need to turn back on for this to work properly. Okay, so I'm not going to go too much further into Cortana. It can do a lot, but I wanted to just show you that you can turn it on and then you can start to use it by voice command or just by typing things in. Now the last thing I want to show you in here is how to uninstall the files for an old Windows version. So let's go into this PC. Then I'm going to go to the disk my Windows is installed on. I'm going to right click on it and properties. Now only do this if you're sure you don't want to roll back. You only have 30 days to do it, and if you don't want to roll back, then you can do this if you're absolutely positive, and I am. So once you're in here, go to disk cleanup, and it'll think for a minute before loading. Okay, so this shows you some things in here that you can clean. This is the usual stuff. As you see, I have some memory files I can delete there. But anyway, you'll see down here, clean up system files. So if we click on that, it'll bring up the system files that we can clean off. Okay, so right now it's scanning previous Windows installations, which is what we want. So we just got to wait for it to finish. Okay, so that is done going through there. You'll see all the different things here. So we have Windows upgrade log files. We have system, error, memory, dump files. We saw that in the last one. But if we roll down here, You'll see here previous Windows installation, 19.7 gigabytes. And temporary Windows installation files, 3.79 gigabytes. So I got like 23 gigabytes of data I can recover there. All I would have to do is check those, click OK, and they go away. Now, only do this if you're absolutely positive you're not going to roll back. I'm not going to do that right now. And then let's just go in here. I want to show you. You'll see down here where it says Windows.old. That's what it's going to get rid of, or some of what it's going to get rid of, most of what it's going to get rid of. Now you can't just right click and delete it. It won't do it. So that's how you get rid of that. Okay, so I think we're done with all the settings I want to show you. In the next video, we're going to go over some of the new features of Windows 10. In this video, I'm going to go over some of the new and improved features of Windows 10. First thing I want to show you is one of my favorite things, and it's the virtual desktop and app switcher. Now I have a browser up on my screen here so that I can demonstrate this a little better. But you see this thing down here on the left that says Task View? If you click on that, it brings up the different tasks you have running here. And then you can switch between them by clicking on things, and you can move them back and forth. Over on the right here, I have New Desktop. So if I click on that, I now have a new desktop that I can do things on. So if I just click in here, now I can open something else up in here. It doesn't matter what it is. I'll open this, and I'll open Microsoft Edge. Now what this allows you to do is have different workspaces open for different tasks without having to interrupt any of your other tasks. So if you are doing work on one side and maybe you're doing some Facebooking on the other side or whatever it is, you can have them in totally separate windows. If I go down to the task viewer again, okay, so you'll see I have desktop 1 and desktop 2 here. So I can switch back and forth between the desktops, and I can pull apps from one to another. So say I want to go and take this browser over to desktop 2. I can grab it and then pull it over and drop it in desktop 2. And now in desktop 2, I have the 3. You can't see it, it's behind here, but here it is. Okay, so that's really a cool thing. You have different workspaces that you can use, and you can move things back and forth between all the workspaces. Now there are some limitations to it. You can't open the same app or program in two different desktops, or it'll just switch it to that other desktop. That's something that is different from most virtual desktops. However, that's just how it works here. So if I were to open File Explorer in another desktop, it would just bring this one across into the other desktop. It doesn't open two instances of anything in different desktops. So that would prevent you, for instance, from having two instances of Microsoft Edge or two instances of Firefox open on two different virtual desktops. Anyway, it's still a great feature, and I really like to use it, and I do use it quite a bit. Now, the next thing I want to talk about briefly is the Microsoft Store. Now, if you've used Windows 8, then you already know about it. If you're from Windows 7 upgrading, you'll see this down here, the Store. And this brings up the Microsoft Store, the Windows Store. So if you have a smartphone or a tablet, you already know about installing apps, whether it's Windows or iOS or Android, BlackBerry. They all install apps, and this is similar to that. Of course, all the stores are different, but it's the same idea. You can go in here and search for your favorite apps, and then you can just download them and install them. Okay, so you can go through this and find what you need. I think it's all by categories here and features. And they have a search bar up here. So it's really simple to install them. For instance, let's just go ahead and install the Netflix app. So just click on it. So here you see what the price will be. Of course, free means just that. There may be a charge for some of them. And if there are, you need to have a payment method in your Microsoft account. And then once you get in here, it's downloading, and then you can read what people think about the app down here. You've seen all that before if you have a smartphone or tablet. So once this is downloaded, I'll be able to use it on my computer. Okay, so I can open it from here. I'm just going to open a new virtual desktop for it. So I'll go new, and then I'm going to go into the start menu, and then we'll go and find Netflix. Okay, here it is. And I briefly went over before about your start menu, which is another one of the great things, is the start menu. You can have live tiles on it, and you can turn the live tiles on and off, and you can change this to what you like. But what you can do, and I showed you this as well, you can pin to start or pin to taskbar, uninstall. I'll just pin it to the taskbar, and now let's open it up here. Okay, and there it is. The app is now open. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is the Action Center. Now I briefly went over this before, but if we go into here, you click on that, and then you will see any notes or notifications, emails, calendar notes, whatever Windows needs to tell you in this section. Down here, you also have some quick toggles. Okay, so all settings, I've shown you that. You can get quickly into your settings here. This is your Wi-Fi. Note, I showed you that as well. Then we have our brightness. Airplane mode is so that when you turn that on, it turns off all of your wireless radios. Okay, then we have connect. Now, if you have a smart TV or smart device, you can click on this and it will connect to that other device and you can stream things to there. VPN for virtual private networks. This is your location service, so if you're going to share your location, then this will be on and you can just quickly turn it off here. You can turn on quiet hours here. Now, when you turn this on, basically it turns off the notifications. This is all it's doing. And it doesn't appear that the desktop version of this, or the laptop or what have you, has a place where you can actually set them to come on and off like you can on the phone. Okay, now I'm going to go into tablet mode, which is grayed out in a minute here, but the next thing I want to show you is how you can change the settings of the apps here. Now, you'll see here it says collapse. When I click that, it shows 4 different tiles here. Now I can change those by going to settings and then system, and then from here notifications and actions. And then we have, these are the 4 that are there right now. So if I click on any of these, it brings up a menu of the different things that I can put into these 4 different spots here. Okay, so say I want to change tablet mode to note. Okay, so now this will say note and then connect tablet mode and all settings. Okay, so I can just click on these and change them to look the way I want. Okay, so now if we go back in here, you'll see I have Note, Connect, here's tablet mode, and all settings again, and then I can expand them back the way they were here. Except Note is now over here, and tablet mode's now over here. Now, tablet mode gives you a more Windows 8 look. It gives you the tiles up in here, it takes away the taskbar at the bottom. Now, the reason it's blanked out on me, if I go in here, I can't get at it. And if I go into all settings, I can't turn it on in here either. So it goes here and I go to tablet mode. It's grayed out. And the reason is that I have dual monitors. If you have dual monitors, it won't let you do it. So I'm going to go ahead and unplug one of my monitors just so I can show you how it works here. Okay, so I've unhooked my external monitor now, and we'll go down to the Action Center here, and you'll see that tablet mode is unchecked. So this gives you a more Windows 8-like look. When you click on it, it gets rid of the desktop and gets rid of most of the stuff on your taskbar, and you just basically have a Windows 8 look. Now, down here on the left-hand side, you have your Start button. When you click on it, it doesn't actually do anything now. But when you right-click on it, you can still get to that other menu where you can get all those other programs. And this is where you can get to your program list and so on here. Just click on that, and it populates this out. Now, the neat thing I want to show you, if you have something you want to get at way down the list, you're up at the A's and you want something, say the voice recorder, if you click on one of the letters here, so now you just click on the letter of the app that you are looking for, whatever it is, and it'll bring you to that list, and then you can open an app from here. And then when you open your apps, they open in full screen mode, so it'll take over the whole screen because you're supposedly on a tablet, and that's what it does. So the other thing is, when you're on a tablet, it defaults to this view, and when you're on a hybrid device that has a keyboard and it's detachable from the keyboard, it will default to whatever view it needs to, depending on whether you're attached or not. So when it's detached from the keyboard, you see this, and when it's attached to the keyboard, you see the normal interface. Like this. Okay, so we're going to continue with some more features in the next video. Next, we're going to talk about the mail and calendar apps. These are really improved over the Windows 8 version. If we click the Start button here, and you'll see them. If you're still using the default Start menu, then you'll just see them in here. Of course, if you move them around, then you can go and get to them over in the All Apps. So let's go into Mail. Now the Mail app has really improved greatly in that it's a lot easier to use. You can bring in all your accounts easily, and it just generally works better. Okay, so you have your initial setup here, so get started. Okay, so you have your Outlook right away, and then you can add other accounts. So let's go add account. And then you can bring in different kinds of accounts. So you can bring in an Exchange account, a Google account, a Yahoo account, an iCloud account, or other POP or IMAP accounts. So virtually you can bring in any kind of account into here, and it'll look after all your email needs for you. So for instance, if you have a Yahoo Mail and a Gmail account, you can bring both of those in and see all your mail from here. Okay, I'm not going to bother setting one up, but it's as simple as adding an account, picking a type, and then signing in. And that's all there is to it. Okay, so it's a really good interface. You click over here on the tab, and that just reduces things down, or it expands them back out. So here's our inbox, sent items, drafts. Click here for a new mail, and you can compose a new mail. So you see your mail on the left-hand side here, and then the preview of the mail over on the right-hand side. And then your controls are up over here. Okay, so it is a really good working app. It works just great compared to the old one. Okay, and you can use this to look after all of your mail right from within Windows here without having to download any kind of client or go into the web interfaces of those emails. Now the calendar app, again, we'll go into the start menu here and just click on calendar. So this allows you to manage your built-in calendar for Windows, but also your other calendars, like for instance, if you have a Google Calendar, you can bring that in as well. So click Get Started. And then again, you have your Outlook calendar, which will sync with anything you put in here or in any other device where you're using the calendar app for Windows. So now we can bring in, again, another Outlook account, Exchange, Google, or iCloud, or Advanced Setup. Okay, so then you can bring in different kinds of things for POP or IMAP. Okay, so we can just go here. And then you can just manage your calendar from within here. And again, this is all of your different calendars. So it'll bring in anything that is from any calendar onto here. Okay, then you can add your events and then the view you want to have up here. Okay, so it's very simple to use, yet it's very powerful. So Windows has done a great job on their core apps. The next thing I want to talk about is the Xbox app. Let's go in here and click on Xbox. Okay, so now it's connecting up. Okay, then you set up your game tag or sign in with a different account down here. Okay, and then we have our privacy settings. Let's just go to Let's Go here. Okay, and then in here you can add some friends into here if you want. Then you have your different features down the side. So this is our game tag here, our home, which is what where we're at now, our activity feed. We click this up here, we can see an expanded view of what we're doing here. So your games. So these are the games that came pre-installed on here. So, we can go in and play the Microsoft Solitaire collection here if we want. Click play there. Okay, so it'll bring up the Solitaire collection here. Okay, the first time in, we'll let it access our info. Okay, so you pick which game you want to play here. It'll give you some instructions. All right, so now if you're at work and you need to hide this from your boss, over here to virtual desktop. Click plus, and then load your work up on this screen. Okay, there you go. So we're back on our work screen. Okay, the boss is gone. Let's get back to our real work, back to our virtual desktops, and back to the important stuff. Okay, so you can, of course, play games with that, but another neat thing you can do is record stuff. Now, you can only do this with apps, and I won't do it with system level things, but it is a kind of a cool feature. It's really meant for games, but you can lie and do it for anything. I'm just going to do it for games here. So if you hit the Windows key and then the letter G, you'll get the game bar. Okay, now usually it'll come up and say, ask you if it's a game, but I've already loaded it here. Now if you click here, you can start recording. Okay, and then it'll record what you're doing here. Now, let's stop. Let's go in, now you see here, this is settings. So you can go into here, and then you can set if you want it to record in the background, so it's not sitting there over top of your stuff. Now I am showing you a game here, but this can be over any app. So if you want to record your email or any other app, it'll work. But you have to have the app loaded in front like I do with the solitaire game here. So you could say, well, just set this the way you want, basically. Show the timer when recording, maximum length, show tips when I start a game, and open game bar. Okay, so that's kind of a neat thing you can use there. You can record your games or whatever it is you want to record. Now once you have recorded your game and you want to see them, you go to the game DVR, which is back in here, and then we go down to game DVR, and you'll see any recordings you've made on this PC in here. Okay, so there's the recording we just made. Okay, and a couple other things here. One of the neat things you can do is print to PDF, and it's built right in. You don't need an app to do it now. Okay, so let me just open something like Notepad here. Okay, and then we just go File and Print or Control P. Now, as usual, it'll bring up any printers that you have on here, but Microsoft Print to PDF. So we say Print. Okay, and then we tell it where we want it to save. So we'll just call it Test here. Okay, and it's creating a PDF out of it. So now if we go into our documents, here is our PDF file. Okay, and then it asks us what we want to bring it up with. So we can bring it up with Microsoft Edge or pick another tool there. And there, Microsoft Edge brought us in the PDF document. Okay, now something I wanted to show you in settings, but I didn't get to it, is if we go in here now, okay, and here's some notifications. Let's go into all settings. Then let's go into user accounts here. And then sync your settings. Okay, so now when you have another device, say you have two computers, you can send the themes, your web browser settings, your password, language preferences, ease of access, and other Windows settings. You can sync all those together, so whenever you sign on to another computer or device, a tablet for instance, that's with Microsoft, you will be able to sync all of your settings together, which comes in really handy. Let me close this here. And let's just open Microsoft Edge here for a minute. And it does have some neat features. So this is much better than Internet Explorer ever was. So if you click here, you have your favorites. You have a reading list, so you can add things here to a reading list so that you can read them later. Okay, now let's click over here. And then let's go down to settings. Now, one of these things that I really like this is you have a light mode and a dark mode. And I quite like the dark mode myself. So you can show a favorites bar. And then down here, how you want to open it with a start page, new tab page, previous pages, and a specific page. Open new tabs with, okay? So top sites, a blank page, top sites. Okay, this is where you clear your browser data. And then your reading view. So you have light, medium, or dark. And then your reading view font size. And then our advanced settings here. So if you want to show the home button, your pop-up blocker. If you're going to use Adobe Flash, you can keep that on or turn it off. Okay, caret browsing, you select text with your keyboard. Then your privacy settings, so passwords, save form entries, send do not track requests. If you want Cortana to assist you with the browser, what you want to search with. So either Bing or you can add a new one here. Search suggestions as you type, just like in Google, it fills it out for you as you type. Whether you're going to block cookies. Okay, site save protected media. Page prediction, and your screen filter. Okay, and then let's go out of here. So now you see that we have our home button up here. And then we have our favorite bar here, but we don't have anything in it yet. And then we have our regular things like our new tab up here that you're used to with other browsers. Okay, now something else that's kind of cool is annotation for pages. So let's go to yahoo.com, for instance. Now let's wait for this to load up. Seems to be here. Okay, now you see this right here? Click on that and you can make a web note. Okay, so now you see some tools have appeared up here. When you put your mouse over them, it shows you what they are. So we have our pen, our highlighter, our eraser, and add a type note and a clip. So let's go with highlighter here. Let's go down here and highlight some stuff. Let's go to the pen. So T-cool, whatever that means. Our eraser. Type note. So, okay, and then okay, and then you can garbage it by clicking on the little garbage thing there if you want. Add more notes. Okay, so these are good. You can keep these for yourself, so you save it here. Okay, and so you save it in your quick notes here. And now you can send it as well. Also you can add it to your favorites, to your reading list, and then down here you can send it. Let's view the note. And it's now in OneNote. Okay, so this is a really neat thing that you can do to annotate Annotate pages if you want to make notes about a web page, and then share them with somebody as well if you want. Okay, and then just click Exit and you're out. Okay, and then you can do standard things like importing your favorites, add to favorites, and sharing over here. Okay, so there's a quick tutorial on Microsoft Edge. Okay, so we've gone over several things now that should help you with getting the most out of Windows 10.